We'll have you stand up a little bit. Okay. Well, welcome. My name is Mary Peters. I'm your Toastmaster today, which means I'm going to be emceeing our event and making sure that things flow smoothly. The first person that I'd like to welcome up is Amy, who is our timer. Would you please help me welcome Amy?
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I am your timer for today. I'll be holding cards to signal for our speakers so they know when they're completing their time. And keep track of time is very important to make sure that we stay on schedule. And after you become an experienced speaker, you sort of get a little radar in your mind that goes, I think I'm getting up to my 5-minute timer. So until you have that little radar going off, I'll be showing the green card, and then our speakers have 2 minutes left or nearing the end of their speech. 1 minute left will be yellow, and when the time plan has expired, I'll be showing the red card so that you know time is wrapping up, and I'll be waiting frantically in the back of the room if you get well beyond your time frame. For our table topic speakers, your goal is to get 1 minute, and you'll have relief when I show the green card, which means you've met the 1 minute time, 1.5 minutes, and then we'd like you to stay under 2 minutes if possible, so you'll see the red card then. For our evaluators, very important segment, but again, a 2 minute is your goal, 2.5 minutes, and at 3 minutes, we'd like to wrap it up, so we'll show the red card at that time. I'll keep track of everything and report back at the end of the meeting to see how well we did.
Now to assuage any concerns you have about the word of the day, please help me welcome Melissa, who is our grammarian standard.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests. Our word of the day, as Mary mentioned, is assuage. You can assuage your nerves when it comes to speaking by practicing regularly and visiting your Toastmasters Club. Assuage. As a grammarian, it's my responsibility to count how many times the word of the day is used. It's also my responsibility to count ahs, ums, connector words, not because I enjoy finding errors, but because I enjoy the improvement process. Also, my role is to look for picturesque language, and I will be keeping my ear tuned to that because that is my favorite part of the grammarian role. Madam Toastmaster?
And with those two duties explained, we're going to go right into our speaking portion today. It is my pleasure to welcome up my son in Toastmasters, and that's John. John is going to be talking today. He's going to do an icebreaker again. And his icebreaker is titled Extra 2 Months and 2 Weeks. And it's from the Competent Communicator Manual, which is his very first manual, icebreaker. So we're expecting him to, he's not going to have notes, so I guess that's good. Would you please help me welcome John?
Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. Extra 2 months and 2 weeks. The normal life expectancy and the womb for every person on the planet Earth is average about 9 months, and some is 2 weeks before, some are 2 weeks after, or in between. And in my situation, mine was 2 months and 2 weeks extra. So I spent 11 months and 2 weeks in my mother's womb, and I'm about to tell you the journey from after I was born up to this moment. And friends and family always kind of see that I'm very energetic. I jump up and down. You know, my energy is so powerful that I use it to entertain. And yet they don't know that in some situation I'm also very, very patient. And where did I get my patience from? I think my patience comes from being able to still relax and enjoy the moment in my mother's womb, those extra 2 months. And just trying to figure out what the hurt is all about before I come to hurt. So I was born 1987. I'm a young, still growing young guy, and there are many things that I've experienced in my life, but the name John, it's a name given to me after I turned 7 when I got baptized into Catholic, so that's not my official name. My original name is Oluwasegun, which basically means God is victorious, and the shortened part of it is victorious. And in the Nigerian community, if you're in the womb for extra 2 months, the mentality is you're fighting a battle inside your mother's womb, and it's when you overcome and conquer, that's when you come to the earth. So that's why they call me Shegun, because I was victorious and I did not die. And so after being born, I went to school, but then I started my school late because when I was born, I was very, very small. I mean, like so small that I can't really walk. I couldn't walk until I was 3 years old. So I'm doing my extra walking and extra running around now. And see, during the time my mom was so frustrated the first week of me being born, and she decided to carry me and put me down on the floor of the bed and say a prayer to God and said, if this guy is my child is alive when I wake up in the morning, then God, you have a reason for him to be alive, otherwise just take him away. And are telling me this story, I have several questions like, why was that terrible? Was that and from my story, it's because I was so small and they're still feeding me, liquids through injection, and in my head I'm thinking, what's that for? I'm 11 months, I should be bigger, more well-grounded and things like that. But then, journeying through after the 7 days that I did not die, I am one of the 12 kids for my mom, because after 3 years I could not even eat solid food, so I'm still being fed food for a whole 3 years. And looking back now, she's always excited and happy to see me because she kind of think I'm a miraculous person, to be alive, and my brain works perfectly, my health is fine, and things is working the way it's supposed to be. So why am I telling you this story? It's sort of a testimony and a journey of me over the time. And in 2003, my mother was also amazingly amazing. Participate in the DB lottery. I don't know if anybody knows what DB lottery is. It's the Diversity Visa Lottery, and it's conducted all around the country, outside countries in the world, and it's operated by the federal government of America. It's a logic for them to bring foreigners into America so they can increase the diversity. That's the goal. And fortunately, my mom won, and if the mother won, then she gets to bring the children, the daughters, and the husband if they are together. But at the time, my mom and my dad weren't together. And at the same time, also my sister played the lottery because she's older than 18. And if you're older than 18, you have the ability to play. But unfortunately, she did not win. But fortunately, my mom played and won. So she gets to bring us all the way to America. And I came here in 2003. And I went to college in Winona State, and I did pre-law and minor in computer science, and my goal was to go to law school and did patent law, because copyright law, building, work for Google, that was my goal. And after graduating from college, I was fortunate to get a job at Hitachi, which I worked there for quite a while, and I decided to go back to school for my master's. And yes, I'm going to confess, the reason why I initially come to Mayo is I'm looking for organization to pay through my school. So that's why I decided to join Mayo, because they will be able to financially help me and to go through school. And I'm still going through it and almost done. That's a journey. And back to 2 months and 2 weeks. In 2 months to this time, probably 2 weeks, 2 months and 2 weeks later, approximately, I'm going to take a leap of faith and step forward and propose to my girlfriend. So that's why I wanted to handle, I'm going to give a speech today and do a mathematical calculation that in 2 months and 2 weeks later, I'm going to take another step of my life and ask my girlfriend to marry me.
And so we'll look forward to your next speech about the proposal. Because I'm sure, coming from you, John, it's gonna be spectacular. Bev has been a Toastmaster for about 2 years. She's now working on her 9th speech in the Competent Communicator Manual, which is the first manual that new Toastmasters go through. The 9th speech is Persuade with Power. And this is what you can look for as you evaluate Bev. She wants to persuade you to adopt her viewpoint or take some kind of action. She's going to use logic and emotion to support her position, and she's going to avoid using notes. Her title is Helmets, not just to keep the bugs out of your teeth. She's asking for 7 to 9 minutes. Would you please help me welcome Bev?
How many of you out there ride motorcycles or know someone who does? Okay, how many of you wear helmets every time you ride? Good, very good. Last Sunday was a beautiful day. I was driving down the road and pretty soon this motorcycle comes whisking by me, passing about 70 miles an hour. I looked at them and they just looked like they were having a good time, enjoying the ride. It was a young man driving. He was a nice looking young man. Nice cut hair, looked good. He had a young lady on the back. She was a cute little thing. She had the fancy little shorts with the glitter on the pockets and everything. Just your average cute little couple. They're driving along. I know they're not thinking anything about accidents or what might happen to them. Also, for her arms, both legs, completely soft white skin. She's going along. Anyway, they're not thinking about accidents or what might happen to them. However, someone on a motorcycle is 30 times more apt to have an accident than I did in the car. If and when that accident happened, what was there to protect her? Nothing. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, with the economy the way it is and the price of gas, there's many, many more people in the United States now that are riding motorcycles. They're taking advantage of that savings of gas. Preventing serious injuries as well as deaths is a major and growing problem in the United States, from a medical standpoint as well as for financial. Motorcycle accidents have caused 4,500 deaths in 2010 alone. So in 1 year, that many people. $12 billion in 1 year is spent on medical care associated with it, as well as loss in productivity for people with crashes. Why is there such a high risk with motorcycles? Well, you probably know. They're very unstable. There is no protection for you. They're very subjected to the weather. If there's rain, anything out there, and they're very small. When you're out with that group of people, people just don't see you. Helmets are the most significant method to prevent fatal injuries as well as other injuries for the motorcyclists. I'm so sorry. Helmets. They're not just to keep the bugs out of your teeth or a fashion statement. Helmets are 37% ability to prevent fatal injury. 37% ability to change, to make a difference for that. They're 67% effective for minor injuries, for the head injuries, in preventing them. It's, oh, I'm so sorry, I just
Babaji. Karafa's been with Toastmaster for more than 6 years. He is working on his oral abstract presentation that he's going to be delivering at the American Association of Blood Banks annual conference in Philadelphia later this month.
Don't go to sleep yet.
He's scheduled to present for 10 minutes plus 5 minutes questions and answers. Today, we're just going to have him do the presentation, and if you do have questions and answers, you can, of course, email Karafa. His title is the implementation of a bi-directional remote electronic blood allocation reporting system at a major institution. And over to you, Karafa. Oh, yes.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. How many of you would rather have, if you need medication, get to you faster in times of need? If you're adopting, you too. If we flip it to the social side, if you drink Coke, Sprite, how many of you would like to have fresh Coke out of your cool refrigerator? How many of you would rather drink warm, hot Coke that has been sitting for like a couple of minutes? So my speech is a project that we implemented here. It was accepted for oral presentation, and I don't have an active manual, so I'm hoping that Ahmed will give me a good critic for this presentation. This project is something that we've worked here at Mayo Clinic for almost 8 years now. The concept is to bring blood transfusion closer to the bedside for patients. It's 2 phases. Phase 1 is implemented, and by 2008 up to now. Phase 1 is the OR now, where we have this vending machine that is closer to the surgical suite, where if they need products, after certain criteria is met, they can actually go and get those products. It's able to cut distance from the OR to the blood bank, reduce those distances, and it's also faster, and we'll go through it. So the talk itself is called Implementing Bidirectional Remote Blood Allocation Reporting System. We'll call it REBAS as the acronym for it. So the system itself, and these are my co-authors, people that participated in this project with the abstract. These are champions, and as part of performance management, HR always asks us to do that. So what we did here is for our sponsors, we kind of gave them this wine sale. Actually, the people here, like, just to go right here. Dr. Stubb is chair of transfusion medicine. Dr. Hebel is the chair of anesthesia at RMH, and Brown is the chair of anesthesia at St. Mary's. John Addis is the project manager. So I was just teasing Dr. Stubbs, like, REBAS is your Coke vending machine. It works like your vending machine. What we have here is a refrigerator that has 110 capacity of blood products, mostly red cells. It has carousel that can turn around. So there's a software that controls this refrigerator. It's called BloodTrack, And in our blood bank, we have a laboratory information system that actually communicates this system. So what happens is, if somebody goes in there and it has met this criteria that we have developed, and let's say, I may say like, okay, I'm done with this cardiac bypass, I need this patient to be transfused 1 unit. The order was generated, this testing was already done. We say, okay, fine, go to any of these rebars or Hemosave and get a unit and transfuse this patient, instead of walking from the OR to the blood bank and then have you go through the process. So they go in there, they're gonna ID themselves, the system gonna query the blood banks like, hey, I got this patient. Does this patient meet eligibility? Does he have everything that we need for them to get a unit? And the system say, yeah, he's good to go. Goes around and then it dispenses the product that is the appropriate product for the patient for need. So I want to talk about the background, why we did that, and then I'll talk about methods we went, results, best and last. We were having issues with the process that was there before implementing this. First, like I said, from the OR, where our blood bank actually here, it's kind of unique at Mayo Clinic, we are actually on the floor of the surgical suite, we just have a window. So people have to walk into the blood bank. We have what we call an issue verification process, where you come in with your pickup slip, I have to go get you your unit, and then we have to verify face-to-face. That could take 6 to 8 minutes. If you go to the Hemosaves, you have the same process, but it takes 30 seconds. The other thing that were an issue was with the old process where people are coming, they like to fill up coolers and bring it to the OR, feeling like they're going to transfuse, but more than 50% of the time they are bringing those units back. The problem here is there's no added value in that process. We are using employees to prepare all that. The products that get prepared is that's what we call cross-match charges. Once Hamid say like, I need 2 units per alpha, sure, you can have 2 units, but I'm going to bill the patient, whether they use it or not, because I'm doing a test on it. Now, here at Mayo Clinic, that's like $80. So if you imagine, if you have more than 50% of these units, and we're talking about thousands of units get issued, that get returned, we're talking about like almost half to $1 million of non-added value charges to patients. We wanted to discourage that, where we wanted to change the culture where take it when you need it, when you're going to use it. Instead of a buffet, order what you need and eat. The other thing that we had was, with all this amount of units being mobilized to the OR, we have problem with storage, and sometimes they keep them longer than normally they should hold them for. So a lot of these products come wasted. So up to 2% of all products that we issue to them will come back wasted. One of the things is, a lot of you are good donors. You go, you donate. 40% of our donors here at Mayo Clinic are employees that donate blood products. And these people, when they go in there, they're also getting paid. Mayo is very generous on that. So we wanted to make sure that these people that are going there and donating this, that we are good stewards of these precious resources, and wanted to change that. So here's some data that I was talking about. If you look at statistically, look at 2009, how much is issued to the OR in thousands. Look at how much is transfused. So you can see the amount is returned is that, and you can see the wastage that goes with it. And some of the reason for this wastage is because storage issues, user issues. Either the product is taking too long that they cannot return it. If they return it, it's not properly stored. We don't want it to be contaminated with bacteria and all that. So it's not safe anymore to take it back, we discard it. Or they are not packing it right, or they left it out and it's too warm now and you can't take it back. So how do we go about, why do we go about, and how do we get to this point? First, we did a business needs assessment. We look at the waste that is there and versus this system. What is the return on investment on that? And then when we looked at that, we said, like, there's a good return on investment on that. And we did the process mapping, designed the process, and then look at risk that's associated with how we're going to implement this. The other thing that goes with it is regulation. We have to do validations, the interface, everything has to be validated that this is going to work as intended. Then we have to train people, train them, and then implement. So here's the business need assessment. I talked about the validation. The first phase, we have 5 machines, 2 at St. Mary's OR, and then the other 2 at Methodist. Our ROI for 5 years was 21% once fully implemented. So the next phase is going to the floor, where I think we're gonna have the biggest bank. Right now, somebody has to walk from Mary Bright, like our colleagues here, nurses, to go to the blood bank, or from Dama Taylor to go to the blood bank. We can have one there. If we talk about Eisenberg, we can have some boats where in the ITC outpatient, which is very heavily used, we can cut their travel time to come to the blood bank for people. So here's how we went. Before we implemented this, we had to look at all the OR activities, look at, okay, the floor, layout, the blocks. We look at about the stats, number of units they order, how much they transfuse, looking at by block, by specialty. And here's an example of that data. You look at it, and you look at it by specialty. The bulk of it goes to cardiovascular and thoracic. So here's how we decided where this unit's hemostasis is going to be located. So we look at this as an example of St. Mary's OR. You look at all these calls, 600, this is cardiac mostly, the 500, and this is trauma, general surgery. Yeah. So we did the distance. We basically take, and see the blood bank is here. So somebody has to walk all the way from there to here. And then if you look, our heavy usage is here, that's the average 9 minutes to walk to the blood bank to get this stuff. So we did, the weighted average is like 6.8 minutes just to come to the blood bank and then go back. So we decided, based on that, where to locate these units, like the core 500, 600, and 400 at Methodist too. So here's what the distance would decrease for the travel time for St. Mary's and Methodist. This is the eligibility. This is a little bit complex, and I'm running out of time, but I'm going to go like the system queries and look for certain criteria this patient met. If they meet those criteria, then it says, yeah, you can have a unit out of those just in time with the graders. And then this is all what it took to create all this. A lot of hard work, but it's worth it. Distribution of utilization. Right now, if they use the HemoSafe, 99.9% of the time they're transfusion these units. They're not returning them. So the return rate is really, any wastage is very low. The turnaround time is this. If you come to the blood bank, a lot of the time, by the time they take the units, before they transfuse, the units are sitting for almost 2 hours. Whereas if they go to the river, the HemoSafe, it's 3 minutes, you're getting it fresh, just in time. And these are all other things that happen, so I kind of have to go this way.
Whew, amazing work being done here at Mayo as well as from our own Toastmaster. Thank you, Karafa. We're going to take a minute. Again, Karafa is going to give this speech later this month at a conference, and that it will help him not only to see or to hear Amit's evaluation, but also to get yours as well. So please give constructive feedback to Karafa. We'll take a minute for that. Joe, my apologies, we are going to skip table topics today. In its place, I'm going to ask Jay-Ho, you're our guest today, you can sit down if you'd like or stand up, whatever, but would you introduce yourself to us?
Oh yeah, of course. It's so easy to stand up. Yes, my name is Jay-Ho. It's nice to meet you everyone. I came from South Korea in this July, so it's my first time living in the United States. So actually I'm very traditional Asian. In Asian countries, calm is very important. Calm means it's very polite and good communicating skills. But in the United States, I have talked with my coworkers. I have to discuss with my PI. So every time I suffer some hardness to communicate with the United States citizen. So moreover, in my country, in English education in South Korea based on the reading and translate to Korean, not speaking, not listening. So everything is very compressed. It depressed me, and so I lost self-confidence in several weeks. So I wanted to learn and practice how to communicate to each other, how to express myself in the public class. So I want to attend these meetings and progress myself in this time.
Great. Jae-ho,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was very excellent communication, by the way.
Very good.
Are welcome. I'm going to turn over the meeting now to Abby Bradford, who's going to be our general evaluator. Please help me welcome.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Yes, it's amazing. As general evaluator today, I'm going to bring up the evaluation team, and we'll get started as we're running out of time. So the first evaluator, Al, will be evaluating John's speech. Come up, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Madam Postmaster, General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. I'm going to pass sludge. I pronounced it correctly. My fear of speaking by going first as an evaluator. John, very interesting topic. I know obviously this is your, I think, second time doing an icebreaker. It was a very personal story. Interesting to me, it was interesting that you provided a little bit of information regarding your Nigerian culture and your birth name, what that meant, and very interesting. I thought your pace was very good. One thing, and this might just be me, obviously you have an accent that isn't real familiar to me. It seems to be British, or is it Nigerian, or anyways. When your pace picks up a little bit, for me at least, it became a little bit more difficult to pick up some words. And part of that might be my inexperience as an evaluator and making sure that I'm paying attention and trying to follow what's going on. But that's just one thing that I guess I had a little bit difficulty with. Overall, I thought your pace was very good. It was very rare that I had that kind of difficulty, but there were a couple of places where I did. I thought the organization was pretty good. And I did hear a few ahs and ums, just like you're hearing something right now. But it was very engaging, and like you said, in your introduction, that you're very energetic, and I think that's a great thing to have while you're speaking. So it's very, very good. Thank you.
Now, the next, I'm going to bring up Tanya and ask her to evaluate Ben's speech. Tanya, please.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests, and most especially Bev. So I would like to assuage Bev's fears that her pausing had a negative impact on her speech, because it did not. It did not in the least. And it's because you gave the speech, and I could tell that you practiced, and your sincerity behind the feelings and your sincerity behind the words that you chose and the stories. I'm trying to move around because I'm trying to practice. So anyway, your sincerity behind the words that you chose and the stories that you chose had, you know, I felt like you had music playing in the background that was adding suspense to your story, even though there was no music, because you have this great way of, I don't know, I mean, I know you're a nurse and you have this really mild, sweet voice, and it's not flat. It has inflections. In its softness, it has inflections, and when you have the inflections, it just catches us like, oh no, oh. I was so, half the time I was like, oh, what's she gonna say? Oh, they died, oh. And then you never did it. I was like, oh, shoot. I was so relieved when no one really died. You got excellence for me on everything. I have one suggestion. If you had wonderful data, and that's what you're supposed to do with the power to persuade, is make it believable. I certainly believed your story, and I certainly am now going, if it comes around for a vote, I'm gonna vote for the helmet law, because you're right, if they're forced to wear helmets, they'll wear them and there'll be less liver transplants. You know, and I know that. I mean, you know, I worked on transplant, and when it was nice weather, we would all look up and go, oh, it's too bad it's nice out. Because we knew the motorcycle people were gonna go out there and somebody was gonna have an accident and somebody was gonna get a liver transplant. So that made it sad. So if you could cite one resource, that was the only thing, you could just say, such and such and such a says that 44,500 deaths in 2010 alone, just because it adds a little bit more credibility. But your data was excellent, and you don't have to say it. If you would have cited all the data that you had, it would have been way too cumbersome with that. So I didn't miss it, but I know that's what people look for sometimes. The people who like data. I like to be scared. So I think you're great at setting the stage and making us nervous that your niece was going to die before a wedding. It was horrifying. And I love your title, Helmets Not Just to Keep the Bugs Out of Your Teeth. That's all. It was great. Thank you.
Ahmed is going to come up and give us an evaluation of the freshman speech. Thank you.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most distinguished guest, and Carafa, thank you for teaching us something absolutely new. I am sure your audience are going to be thrilled by what you're doing. But you are a Toastmaster, and you are representing Mayo Clinic, and more important, you are representing Mayo High Newman. So few pointers. Can that Pepsi Cola stuff, can the hot Coke stuff go in the center stage and say, imagine, ladies and gentlemen, imagine a hospital setup. The surgeon has just done a bypass, tells the nurse, go and get a B positive blood. She takes 3 steps. She has a magic chip. She puts in, clink, 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 bam, the B positive blood. A way to get people hooked into your speech. Position yourself in the right-hand corner, because that's where you can show, or the left-hand corner. Do not position yourselves in the front, in the middle, where you're telling the right-hand guys, dissect the right side, left-hand side, dissect the left side. In the center, only God knows what you're saying. Tell them, why did you come up with this study? Don't show them wine coolers. Time is very precious. Tell them what you did. Tell them how you did it. Tell them what you found. Tell them what you're going to do next. Everything was there in the slide. Cut it down by 80%. I mean, by 20%. One slide a minute. Keep it simple, take out all the languages, make it brisk. Cut the jokes will come. Can I have your laser pointer? How do you turn it on? Don't do this. You see what I'm saying? This is a spider web. If you're in the middle of the road and do this and a plane is going there, FBI will come to your house. You're not supposed to point it at a plane. So please don't do this. How do you steady? You steady your hand, the right hand with the left hand. Just do this. And small amounts. They know. They're educated people.
Yeah.
You don't have to circle it from them. And most of the slides, some of the slides you cannot see, cut it. There's one slide, all kinds. You don't want to impress them.
Thank you very much. Now, actually, that would be the fun of that. Now we will bring up our timer for recording.
Your timer's report for today. John, your speech, you asked for 5 to 7. You're right on target, 6:22. Bev, 7 to 9 minutes was your ask. You had 8 minutes and 47 seconds. Kudos. Rafa, I don't know what it is about your speeches or Amit's evaluations, you guys were both over. I was just afraid to be holding up the red in the back of the room for both of them. But you asked for 10 minutes, 11:32. Amit, I'll do your evaluation next, 2 to 3 minutes, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Al, your evaluation, 2 minutes, 37 seconds, both right on target. And Tanya, 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Nice job.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, it's my delight to be able to report that the word of the day was used a couple of times. I was getting nervous, but then we got to that evaluation portion. And wonderful job, Al, in right away leading with that. That was great. And John, in your speech, my energy is so powerful. That was very nice as a phrase. Growing young was a little bit confusing, so I would just look at that, the wording of that. The journey of 7 days that I did not die was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Bev, as you know, you had several ahs and ums, and I think either having that as a PowerPoint that you can refer to, or just doing an index card of your facts and having that in hand to go like this with, because also then they'll be bulleted instead of within your speech, because as Tanya said, it was obvious you prepared. And when you were being visual and talking, it was amazing. I really liked the heavy toppling thing. Implore, especially with the way you said it, was very strong. And ups your ante. I don't think ante is used often enough. Carafa, I really liked bending machine closer to surgical speed. I know it's the whole idea and concept, but even just as a word idea, I want to hear your speech. I'm sorry, I want to do like a vampire movie with a And then the implementing of, I can't even remember, bidirectional remote blood allocation reporting system. I'm glad you had it up there a couple of times because it took me a little bit to catch it. And I loved it when you said, instead of a buffet, order what you need and eat it. There was one Okay, and L, you used the word of the day, which is marvelous. You had 5 which is so normal when people are starting out. Tanya, you also used assuage. You had one that you could hardly tell. I wasn't even going to write it down. And then a little bit later, after you said the marvelous, in its softness, it has its inflections, which I love. And I like to be scared. You had 2 after that. However, wonderful job to everyone who spoke today. We're
out of time, but I do have a couple of tidbits I want to share with you. And we had an amazing meeting. Thank you for being so organized behind the scenes. And thank you all for being so flexible. There were a lot of folks that just transition and jump right in to help with the open spots and roles today. Very positive. A lot of greetings going on. We have some amazing visitors, so thank you for welcoming them and making them feel welcome, and thank you for coming as well. a couple impromptu things that happened. We had some folks that were speaking impromptu. I could hear that they were and struggling with their speeches and maybe saying, excuse me, a few times for going here and there and forgetting things. But thank you for taking the risk, and thank you for moving forward and being here on this stage and practicing and moving forward with your journey of speaking, because that's how you grow. That's how you grow. So I appreciate the risks. And again, Beth, I do it too. I always forget where I am, but that's how you learn. That's how you learn. We had some amazing speakers today presenting, and the idea came to my head, and I wanted to present it to the group today as a general evaluator. What was this idea? Think about the opportunity to also move away from this room, because we have Toastmasters that are speaking to smaller groups, presenting at tables with unknown rooms where you're going to end up with some maybe even less high-tech equipment than what we have here. Maybe we don't control the lights, that sort of thing. And we have others in the room that really want to move forward and pursue their kind of pocket speech where they want to do a TED Talk. Have you ever had to go to an auditorium and present? I have. I was freaked out. I don't talk very well. How do I project myself and how do I practice in that? Maybe this group decides a couple times a year we go to an unusual room that you don't know about and we practice there. And you have a stage where you can move around and show your presence. Maybe you think about that. Table topics were interesting that we didn't get those today, so Joe, please keep those. I want to do those another day. And I wanted to ease your pain in knowing that this is an amazing group and I'm very proud to be here. Thank you.
And I can't say much more than that, except, will you ever forget Ahmed going? So nobody, I hope nobody ever uses a remote like that again.